And good morning, everybody. My name is Osa, and we are playing Farm Sim 22 on Maypole Farms. Maypole Farm map did not update this week, so we're playing on the existing one. If it does update this coming week, then I will not be able to have enough time to... We're looking for to get the map in a state to play next weekend. So we'll be playing on this map for at least 2 weeks now. Okay, I have medium weeds in my what was the sunflower seed is now the barley field, and I need a hoe, and this is the only hoe available. Weeder hoe. So I need two. Might need a wait. Details, lease that piece of equipment. So this is our job for this morning. It probably won't take long. The hoe's quite a good piece of equipment. And when buying mechanical weeders, I will tend to buy one of these in preference to the others. Just because if I leave it a little too late, there we go, I will end up with weeds I am unable to... Oh, that's what I did. Raise that off the floor. Yep, select the tractor before you press the connect or disconnect button. I forgot about that. Select back. So good morning and patchwork. Oops. Hedges. So yes, this is a nice time of the morning. We have street lights everywhere, although I may need to speed time up to ×5 for this job because I'd like to get... Whoa, and yes, I need a front weight because the front wheels just went airborne, so we'll spin by the yard and pick up our safety weight. Probably drop the arms off too, because don't need them either for at least a while. Spring probably. Now there's one contract available. Is this my turn? This might be my turn. One ploughing contract available. We'll pay 4,000, which ain't bad. We have our sunflowers, which are at the rock bottom price. December is the worst time to sell sunflowers, so we won't be selling them. But it's only a couple more months before sunflowers reach their peak. We do have the silage bales that are fermenting on the back of our trailer. They're not ready yet, but 97% done. They should be ready later on today. Yeah, definitely need to put a weight on the front. So we will do that now. Oh, there's the weight. So I will drop the front loader over here. Oh, there we go. Grab the weight. As I said before, it's a little heavy, I think. Come on. Oh, it's dead. No, don't. Hey, that kind of worked. For all the wrong reasons. Okay, that should make things a little more stable. Starbuck84, good morning. Welcome to Saturday morning stream. Good to see you guys early. And let's just scratch the paintwork on that car. And yeah, this is another map where street driving really kind of needs to be done from the cab. Not that I mind that, but here we are. Okay, how are we going to achieve this? Well, step one. Turn the orange flashing lights off. We will put all of the work lights on. It's probably a good start. Now we do have narrow tyres. Not that that matters at this stage, because obviously crop's not big enough to get crushed by our wheels. But yeah, as I said, it looks like this has been updated. I don't know if I've got any small weeds on this field, but when the game first came out, it would report on the earliest growth of weeds. So it might tell us we've got small weeds, you need a weeder. And then you'd weed part of it, get out, go and check, and it would say, oh, now you have medium weeds and you need a hoe, which cost me a ton of money in Elm Creek when I had to lease both. Now it appears to be telling me my worst stage of weeds. And I think the reason why we're at medium is because we harvested, which triggers weeds, potentially. And they were small. And then I did all the field work stuff. And I planted... let's lower that one down. I planted the barley, and that triggered another growth of weeds. As you seed a field, it will destroy visually the weeds that are there, but I don't believe it actually destroys them. It just kind of takes the tops off and they grow back with a vengeance. Which is why we've ended up with medium weeds now, when theoretically they should be small again. Because we just planted, we created a weed trigger. Now potentially there could be medium weeds from our harvest and small weeds from our planting, but it's why you really can't, well, I guess you could leave a field fallow for a time and the weeds will grow in it, at which point you would need to spread herbicide on them. But I don't think that changes anything significant, because obviously you don't have a crop, so the crop's not going to be affected by the herbicide. But then when you go out and do plant the crop, that will be another weed trigger, and you will get weeds following that. This is all speculation that we're probably going to prove sometime during this series, when I do and don't do things that I need to do in a timely manner. I mean, normally I am out ploughing a field, cultivating a field immediately after harvesting it. I don't leave the field fallow. If we're harvesting in, say, August, which this is barley, is quite likely that this will be an August harvest, and I decide I want to plant soybeans or corn next year, then I would be planting oilseed radish over the winter to protect the soil, and that would be the crop that ends up getting weeded as we go. But it's all sort of triggered by what I do. I never leave a field just as bare earth. So we seem to be going okay. I think the working speed on this thing's about 7. Then you can see the weeds, slightly different shade of green than the barley. At least under the work lights you can see them. As I said, I think we will speed up time. That good old song by Cher. If I could speed up time. No, okay. Less singing, more farming. So what's been happening this week? In the farming world, farmer I watch in North Carolina on YouTube, unfortunately they planted their soybeans this year and got no rain for 3 weeks, and their soybeans are just very sad. So much so they're having to replant again. Now apparently that's not the only farmer that's had this problem this year. One of their first comments on their video where they said they were out of I think we'll go down the bottom, it might be easier to work our way through the field. Yeah, one of the people who commented on their video said they had to do the same thing, and they just started reseeding their soybeans. This particular family, end of this week, they're looking at major rainstorms down in North Carolina, so don't really have the opportunity to plant anything in the next few days, but they're all getting their seeder prepared for planting soybeans again, which is a bit sad. And also it's now late in the season for the crop, and they, of course, they had to go and buy more more seed. Oh, I was seeing some change in texture off to the left edge of the field, but I think that's where I didn't plant, or it didn't germinate. Probably I didn't plant because germination isn't a thing in base game farm sim. I thought I'd missed some weeds. I think I seem to be hitting most of them. It's kind of difficult this, because I'm already driving off at 358 degrees on what should be a 0 degree course. Now this will not get us a great environmental score. However, probably better than not doing anything. And this is why you put GPS on your tractor, because I really can't tell where I've been and where I haven't been. If we look at the map, saving. I'm definitely hitting the weeds, so that's a good thing. I'm not necessarily doing the most efficient coverage possible. In my youth, I used to sing. Well, in school, I used to sing. Then my voice broke, and it's been all over the place since then. Okay. Yeah, so we can see patches of lime where the seeder didn't seed for some reason. It's probably the average line I took. And again, encouragement to use a GPS to get the lines right. I try to get it as close as possible to the working edge of the equipment I'm using, but even so, if you're not precise, then you can leave, a couple of meters or a couple of feet, partial meters gap between each row sometimes. We can definitely see on the left side there doesn't seem to be weeds. I just can't tell on the track I'm taking how far over it is. And of course, FarmSim22 weeds are not a 100% field coverage thing. Now, we don't have weeds in the grass field, so we will return this hoe as soon as we're done here, because this is the only field we have that this is a problem on. 355 degrees. But anyway, haven't noticed Millennial Farmer have any videos this week, so I'm not sure what he's been up to. I think the last one I saw, he had the scrap men round with their big giant truck loading up his old grain bin that was in multiple pieces. Okay, 178, I want to be at 180. And the sun is rising. I'll drop back to ×2. I now can't tell. Yeah, this is now going to be a little bit more difficult. That's the work lights, that's the headlights. Okay. At least while we're in shadow, I can see the difference in greenness between the weeds and the barley. So hopefully the barley should be good. Obviously at the moment the nitrogen levels are horrible. But that's because we did have sunflowers in this field, which are low nitrogen crop. and you harvest and your nitrogen levels drop too. So anything we can do to boost that will be a thing. As I said, we're not planning on getting any cows until next winter probably, so we'll have a full year of our grass field being productive. Now, we did discover another fix what Giants did to the game, and that is with productions and contracts, you can no longer, well, a contract may call for a product to be delivered to a production that you own. So say you buy the grain mill, and you do a contract for barley or wheat or something, and the delivery point is the grain mill. You will get paid for delivering the wheat to the grain mill, but you will not get credit in the grain mill for the wheat delivered. So basically it's the wheat gets delivered there, you get paid the contract, but you don't. If you say delivered 30,000 litres of wheat, you now don't have 30,000 litres of wheat sitting in the grain mill to get processed. So contract production is completely separate from what gets delivered. So gone are the days where you could look at a contract and say, well, I can do that wheat contract, I can deliver it to my grain mill, and then I can turn it into flour and get paid twice for the product, once for the actual harvesting and then once again for the flour, whether you make that flour into bread or not. Now obviously, because harvests tend to have a percentage of crop that's not required for the contract. So let's say you deliver 30,000 for the contract and then you get another 2,000 in off the field. That's yours, you can sell it. You can take that to your grain mill and process it into flour. That's still yours, obviously. If you deliver it to your grain mill, you don't get paid for it, because your grain mill doesn't pay you for the product delivered. So there's that now. So harvest contracts, not going to be quite so lucrative as they used to be if you're delivering it to your production facility. I also have a feeling that may also be true for stuff you deliver to a grain mill. So for example, we have 30,000 litres of sunflowers. I don't own any production. I could take the sunflowers to the oil mill to process into sunflower oil. And one kind of cheating method to do that is you deliver the sunflowers to the oil mill, you get paid, you buy the oil mill, and then you process the sunflowers you just got paid for. I have a feeling Giants probably also fixed that. So you now don't get, you get paid for your sunflowers, but when you buy the oil mill, the sunflowers are probably not going to be there. So if you want to process stuff, make sure that you own the production facility before you deliver rather than after. Now, depending on the price of things, I think there's an oil mill on this map. Let me deliveries. Yes, there is an oil mill on this map, which is paying the best price at the moment, but what I might do is do a no-save test on this. Deliver the stuff to the oil mill, save the game, and then buy the oil mill and see if the oil mill, if the sunflowers are actually there or whether they just vanish because the oil mill previous owners processed it before I bought it. We'll see. Obviously, I don't want to save that, so that will be an off-camera thing. At this stage, I don't plan to buy the oil mill because I don't plan to be producing canola and sunflowers as a major crop. At least not until we have a number of fields, like we did on Oakfield. We had, we had so many fields. We had pretty much, I would call it, a standard mix of crops that we produced every year. So I always had canola fields, I always had sunflower fields, and I also had a cereal, not necessarily the same one each year. And so, if I'm producing 2 fields of sunflowers every year, maybe it makes sense to have the oil mill, because we can then produce sunflower oil on a continuous basis. Same with the grains, the cereals. If I'm always going to be producing wheat, barley, oats every single year, then it makes sense for me probably to have a grain mill to produce that. Now I'm only producing one type of cereal each year, be it this year I'll produce wheat, next year I'll produce barley type of thing, and I'm what's the word for it, rotating the fields as well, crop rotation on the fields. So this year my sunflower fields are producing sunflower, next year they'll produce wheat. This year my cereal field is producing barley, and next year it'll be producing sunflower. So I'm doing all of that type of thing, but just, I'm only producing one cereal crop every year, albeit different each year. So we're, everything is going to be the same, harvested the same time, planted the same time. It makes logistics a little bit easier. I can run a harvester between the fields without completely unloading it, and just continue where we left off on the next field. Or I can unload it and then all the equipment can ship to the same place. The problem here is on this map, now we can actually use workers to transit. I can do a worker on the harvester and send it to the next field to be harvested, but I can't. It's difficult to do a worker on the grain trailer because they don't go through farmyards, and obviously the idea would be is